Hello, everyone. It has been ages since I did a Chatty in the Car video, and yeah, I don't know. Today I just kind of felt like it, and I wanted to talk a bit about being overwhelmed and what it kind of does to me. Because right now I'm overwhelmed, and I can't even really put my finger on exactly why. But, it's been busy day after busy day and lots of people. And maybe because we just had, the Easter holiday. So then I had 2 days in a row with gatherings, I guess, with people. And yeah, Good Friday, Easter Sunday, Resurrection Day is always kind of a bit of an emotional thing for me. Good emotions. But anyway, yeah, so I'm a bit overwhelmed, and I really was like kind of fighting the urge to isolate myself, because when I get overwhelmed, the first thing that happens, and I know maybe a year ago I did some research on this of why this happens, and I can't remember the exact details, and I don't want to misquote it, so I won't try to go into too much detail about that. But what happens to me is my senses, my physical senses, get really heightened, and then everything is too much. So like my sense of smell, my sense of taste, my hearing, my vision, my like, I want to say texture, but that's not the right word. Like, yeah, my sense of touch. Everything gets so heightened, and then emotionally I feel like unbalanced or something. So it's always like noises are too loud. I hear all the little detailed noises too much, when normally I don't know, my head, my thinking kind of takes over that, where I can kind of block things out, or I have mechanisms to block those, outside noises out. But I get where I'm feeling kind of like exhausted emotionally and physically, because I am also tired, but I don't know if it's physically tired necessarily, if it's just emotionally tired, and then that feels like physically tired. But sounds are too much. People talking and background noise and music, and, even the sounds of like dishes clanging or someone accidentally dropping something. I become very sensitive to noise. And I do have a low tolerance for noise as a general rule. Loud, sudden noises tend to startle me, usually because I'm inside my head and not really focusing on the outside world as much, unless I'm working on something. If I'm working with my hands, I can focus on that a bit more, but at the same time, I'm in my head. It's an odd thing, but I'm sure you guys will understand what I'm talking about there. The other sense that gets really heightened, that actually irritates me quite a bit when I'm overwhelmed or stressed or exhausted, is my sense of touch. Because everything feels really harsh or something. Like, I tried to explain it a few times to someone else that doesn't struggle this same way, that I can feel every inch of my clothing touching me. And if that's not a good fabric or a good fit or a good something, then I don't want it. I can feel like every hair on my head and where it's placed, and how it's touching my face and the back of my neck and the top of my head. And I can feel my eyelashes touch my cheek. And this isn't a normal state of being. It's just when I get into the state that I'm kind of in right now, where the world feels like too much. And I want to just curl up in a ball in my chair and cover myself with a blanket and hear nothing, see nothing, and feel nothing. course, I'm always going to have feelings of emotion, but I mean feel nothing, like physically feel nothing, like my sense of touch. And I know it's not, I want to say like this extroverted sensing, that's what it is, you know, the outside world. And I want to say that's our least used, it's our last cognitive function. So it's our least used one. And if you're not in that a bit or often, it feels uncomfortable. So I always just feel like very uncomfortable in my body, very uncomfortable in my skin. And, you know, then my sense of pain is also heightened. And I don't like that either because, you know, I mentioned in the past, I do have chronic abdominal pain. I haven't gone into much detail about what's wrong with me in that sense, but I do have chronic abdominal pain. So that's always kind of residing at a low level, and then it, you know, goes up and down depending on what's going on. But my sense of pain becomes heightened as well, so then I feel that pain more intensely and I'm very aware of it, whereas most of the time, unless it comes to my attention or someone asks me and I have to think about it, unless the pain is intense, of course, then you can't help but notice it. I just kind of ignore it, push it aside, and don't notice it, you know. Oh, the sun is really doing weird things to my face, and I'm not really watching the screen, so sorry if the lighting's bad, guys. Driving in a car is always a funny thing for lighting. But maybe you're just listening and not watching anyway. Because we got some sunshine, and yeah, we're not used to seeing it because our winters are always so cloudy. So this new bright glowing ball in the sky is a stranger to me and I'm not used to it. And again, my senses are heightened, so I'm like, oh, it's so bright. But the thing with the clothing, it's kind of a funny thing, and that's always been something that was a thing for me, as I had to have fabrics that felt just right. The fit of my clothing had to be just right. Not because I was mostly concerned about how they looked necessarily. Of course, I want to look nice, but it was how they felt. Because if I was having an off day, or if I was, you know, in like the stressed out state, if I can feel every inch of my clothing, it needs to be comfortable and it needs to fit properly, you know? So that's always a big thing, is the clothing. And so it's always an oddity. Like, I can't stand some fabrics, certain fabrics I just can't stand. And some of them, some other people really like, and they wear them a lot, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, get that thing off of me. I can't do it. But I am really quite frazzled right now, internally, you know, but life goes on, you know. I am out and about today because I have to go get groceries, because I still have to feed my children and my husband and myself, no matter what goes on in life. And really nothing horribly bad is happening. It's just kind of everyday life, and I haven't really put my finger on exactly what's going on that I feel so like retreating, like hiding, you know. Everything's been too much. I've been kind of neglecting commenting or returning comments on YouTube. I haven't been able to really focus on watching even other people's videos and commenting on them. I've just been kind of shut down a bit. But at the same time, with that shutting down, you're still in this just like overdrive internally. It's so bizarre. And it is a cycle that runs for me. I feel peaceful. I know that things are going to be okay. I don't think that like the sky is falling. But I just can't stand the feel of fabric on my skin right now. And I went to PiYo this morning, which is awesome. And I'm just chit-chatting now. I don't even know what my point is here, but I'm just chit-chatting. Like I would if you were sitting next to me in the car. I would just talk, and then, you know, but you could respond, so that would be nicer to have a conversation. But it's just a one-sided conversation. But yeah, I went to PiYo this morning, and PiYo is always good, but, you know, again, the sounds of the gym, other people working out on machines, and weights clanking, and people talking while we're supposed to be focusing, and it's just too much. So I left there with a sense of panic rather than a sense of peace, which I normally get from working out, especially plyo, because it is difficult. It is a really good muscular working thing, even though it seems like it would be simple, because it's essentially yoga moves that you move in a certain succession. But usually that is really good for my mood and state of mind. And yeah, today I just left, ran out of there, just felt panicked because it was just overwhelming. And yeah, so yeah, I don't know, guys. How do you do when you're overwhelmed, exhausted, not just physically exhausted, but, just exhausted in general by life and all the things that you have to do? And, do you have that heightened sense of, it's almost like fight, flight, or freeze reaction, it seems like, but it's extended. It doesn't just last for a few minutes when you're in crisis. It lasts for days, because I've felt like this all week, and today is Friday. And yeah, so I don't know. I know the clothing thing, I really haven't found another person that goes through the same thing other than my son. My middle son has always been extremely sensitive to, since he was teeny tiny, like a baby, since he could express himself, he's been incredibly sensitive about fabrics and the way things felt and how things fit him. And as a small child, he would just take it off, because they don't know about appropriateness. But yeah, there would be things that I would purchase for him to wear, and yeah, he would wear it for a few minutes, and that would be it. And then I might as well give it away because he's not going to wear it again. But he's really the only other person I've ever run into that had the same kind of sensory issue with fabrics and fit of clothing. So I'm interested to hear if any of you, when you're in that state of overwhelm, if you have that as well, or if that's just me and my joy oddity. I don't know. But yeah. Become very aware of how many times you're blinking, what your breathing sounds like, what every inch of your body feels like. And that's a strange state for me, because usually I'm a bit disconnected from my body and almost out of, because of the chronic pain, almost out of a survival response. Just kind of disconnect from your physical feelings so that you're not hurting all the time and you can function, But anyway, I think that's enough of me rambling on about this. I talked for 13 minutes, and that's a long time for me. So I appreciate you guys, and hopefully next week I'll be feeling a little bit better, and back to myself. Although I have been kind of being myself. Maybe that's why I'm overwhelmed. Maybe that's the thing. I have been kind of being myself. I've been trying to just be joy and not something else that someone else thinks I need to be, or what I think is publicly presentable. So maybe that's why I'm overwhelmed. I'm not used to it. Sometimes it's easier to hide and be guarded and pretend that you're just something that you're not, I guess. I mean, I never am a fake person, but you know what I mean. You put on a show almost so that you don't bother other people with your stuff and your oddity and your, just bizarre things that you say, or ways that you act and the things that you get excited about. I haven't been hiding that as much. Maybe that's why I'm exhausted. I don't know. Who knows if I'll figure it out, but heading into the forest now. Driving. I got to drive a ways to get groceries, but yeah, appreciate you guys. Live in love out of the way you were created. Thank you so much.